welcome to this demonstration video where we will show how to actually create a painting, because there's been a lot of bad shit going around with like people not knowing how to and saying it's too difficult, but it's really not. It's literally 4 or 10 files that needs to be done, and the only thing holding it back is always the CRC string. So how do we know if our painting is working? Well, you can see texture from the texture file, the DDS texture file, the shader also connected to the texture file, and the object placement and the client, which will also need to be followed from the server side. So this is just like a quick demonstration how to make one. What you do is you take your painting of choice, name it what you want. Be aware of capital lettering is very bad sometimes inside SAE and the game itself. Make sure it corresponds to our shader file, where we can see it right here. It corresponds to rare painting 15. Then it will take the information and say, yeah, this is locked to rare painting 15. And then we see the outcome when we do have our tree file generated. When we have our object folder made, we have the correct corresponding from the server itself because it's making it. I'm going to show how to do that. There's the different placements and the way you could technically do it from SAE, but I don't recommend it because it's easier doing it just in the plain text file because it's a TPF file. Because yeah, it's a bit complicated doing it from here. But our APT file is generated from a copy of already existing painting from source, or this one is. You could also just take the painting of your choice from the already in-game stuff and just take. And yeah, and the mesh file is the model of your choice. This is also, as I said, source taken model. Moving on to the server. Here we will want our server data, which is gonna need the appearance and the MISC object template CRC string. That's how I usually do it. There's many other ways of doing it with automatically creating it, but this is usually the safest way to know you did it right, because it's gonna output it to a tab file you can actually search in. But when you have done that, you can actually search up and done the, let's just ANT compile. It goes through all the stages of compiling. It's usually here, if you've done something wrong, you would notice that, because it's not gonna clean up and do what it's supposed to do with generating the different files. As you just saw, mine was set to generate the CRC string, but that's a custom made thing. because I did follow the original guide from this source. Or I don't know if it's custom, but it's usually not in it. Then you want to go to the CRC. We can already do it because it's doing the final stages. CRC in the tab file here, and then we can search for our rare painting 15 because we know we put it inside our handy dandy CRC string looker upper tool. We can just search file name and look through it all to the P. And we have our rare painting 15. So the whole string here is what's needed. So it's object tangible painting shared underscore painting underscore rare painting 15.iff. Both shared and non-shared. So non-shared is like when you delete that, it's needed in the CRC file. So it's both with shared and not shared. So let's say we call it painting 120 something. Then we need to have that put in with just pressing plus, and also with the shared and pressing plus, because then we have both like shared profiles and non-shared profile of the file we're gonna look at in a second. That's also an easy way to look up issues if it's not shown correctly. Here we will find rare painting underscore 15. There we have it, underscore 15 and underscore 15 shared. So both shared and not shared are in our CRC string. So they will show on our end and on the server end. So next we will see on the not shared portion of the thing, it's the server side. So we will go to our painting and then see what's inside. There we have our shared template going to our shared portion, which we're gonna visit in a second. This is usually just a copy and paste from other stuff, but sometimes you may want to change it if you feel like it. But this is like a usual base thing. But that's usually how it's supposed to look on the server side of it, because most of the logic is in the shared portion, where we will have the same thing with inside tangible painting and our rare painting shared 15. Here we will have the naming of the painting. So like object description or the name. So this is where you do that. Have it correspond with the right appearance file, which is the ATP file. So this is how you usually do the base file for paintings, and that will go with all the other menu paintings I do have, a bunch of them. So yeah, it's kind of how you do that and how they get generated. When they get generated, they get put inside the data, and that's where you want to take our shared portion of it to put in your client. So you go to object, tangible, painting, and then we look at 15. You would have to take the file you just generated from here, put over in the client to actually make it work. So you would have, as I made here, tangible painting, shared painting, just like this. It would also need to be inside the server data to make sure it's actually handled correctly. So this is kind of like how to do it right now. A really quick like demonstration. I'll have a link for the provided material here to make your own painting. If you want it, take it. The CSV file I don't recommend taking. Take your own from your own client or server. But I'll provide what's needed and hopefully get it running. Have a good one.